I watched Arena featuring fighting, fast food and cardboard cutouts in space. In 2,000 years' time, citizens of many different worlds will marvel at a brutal martial arts type tournament that future folk simply refer to as the Arena. Arena, directed by Peter Manoogian, however you pronounce it, was produced in the late 80s by Empire International Pictures, who were in the process of going bust after a series of pretty decent commercial successes a few years earlier. The mess surrounding the business meant that Arena was released in the early 90s, to little fanfare. The main hero is a macho-sounding Steve Armstrong, a fast food cook who often struggles to keep up with the pace of food orders. He happens to work on the very space station which hosts the Arena. In fact, the reason he's there is because he's a huge fan of the tournament and trained his whole life hoping to be a participant, but couldn't even get his foot in the door.
Couldn't even get in the door.
Anyway, he gets fired after saving his boss from some hostile aliens. It was a shit job anyway, but beating off a bunch of aliens doesn't go unnoticed, and fight promoter Quinn thinks he might just have what it takes to battle in the Arena. The first human to do so for 50 years.
For the first time in 50 years.
In 50 years.
In over 50 years. 50 years ago?
Armstrong is a lifelong fan of the competition, and his fanboy enthusiasm, dashing good looks, and underdog status make him a hero for humankind, especially when it looks like he might actually stand a chance. But it's not just aliens wanting to give him a real good licking in the ring that he has to look out for though. Corrupt competition runner Rogor wants Armstrong out of the tournament when Armstrong spurns his offer to manage him.
You could go right to the top with the right management.
He, along with his stig-of-the-dump henchman Weasel and honeytrap Jade, try to sabotage his chances. This may be a low-budget film, but some effort has gone into the core concept of the fighting competition. It's pretty simple. Get your opponent through the green light barrier to win. Aliens come in various sizes, but the game employs a leveling mechanism called the Seiko 3000 handicapping system.
The Arena uses the Seiko 3000 handicapping system,
which uses some sort of energy beam to weaken or strengthen players so that the overall fight is fair.
The handicappers decrease a fighter's strength, keeping the match competitive.
Best not to overthink that bit. It might seem a bit flimsy, but the idea works and means that you can have all sorts of creatures fighting each other because their relative strength is balanced. Instead of feeling like clumsy exposition, this actually works really well because it feels like the sort of info that you do actually get during a sporting event.
Is he a sportsman? To that I say no.
Arena is a difficult film to judge in terms of looks. A lot of the makeup looks good. The sets on the whole are great considering the budget, but the outfits look really dated. Even when I watched this in the early 90s, the outfits look cheap and old-fashioned. There are a lot of people to dress though, so clearly that was an area where money was conserved, as is the crowd. I never noticed it when I was 11, but on my big-ass 65-inch screen, most of the crowd are clearly cardboard cutouts, and the upper circle has some shonkily animated spectators. It looks like cardboard being moved with string. But you've got to expect a bit of jank in a low-budget straight-to-video movie produced by a company who was going bust. Some shots of the Arena make it look like a huge space, but the awkward moving model crowd make it obvious that it's a model. But again, 30 years ago, watching this on VHS, you may not have even noticed that. Exterior model shots of ships are pretty good too. In fact, the truth is they look as good as many mid-budget sci-fi films, but I think most of the budget was spent on the alien fighters. Horn, the public bad guy, is the heel of the show, and he looks amazing. Menacing, strong, intimidating, everything you want a fighting baddie to look. Another fighter called Spinner looks like the bastard love child of Robocop and TikTok from Return to Oz. One fighter in particular looks awesome, Sloth, a huge non-humanoid creature with weird dog-dick appendages. Looks fantastic. Yeah, you can see the strings at some points holding this giant contraption up, but it has a surprising amount of movement, and the texture in the face really does feel like something real. That's the beauty of practical effects. It can capture physics and textures in a way that bad CGI just doesn't do. Sloth is the absolute highlight of the film for me. I can see why Sloth is used on all the promotional material. Although Stitches, Armstrong's sparring partner, also looks pretty cool. This looks like something created for a big budget blockbuster. We get lovely wide shots where we can see the full thing. It looks amazing. The humanoid characters in the film are okay, but only a couple stand out. Hamilton Camp, who is most famous as a voice actor for many films and cartoons over the years, plays Armstrong's four-armed boss.
I've only got 4 hands!
Although you know that there's a guy behind him sticking his arms through the costume, you still buy into it, and it has something of a charm. Hamilton also played a couple of small parts in Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager, but if you're a massive Trekkie like me, then Marc Alaimo, aka The Neck, and Armin Shimerman are the standout names here. And standout faces too. You recognise them straight away. Marc Alaimo, whose Gul Dukat would be the Cardassian you love to hate in DS9, is a great villain here. Alaimo excels as a villain, and he manages to act through the ridiculous silver makeup and budget Dracula hair. Shimerman is fab too as his ratty henchman, Weasel. His makeup and spiky teeth is much better, and not a million miles away from his Quark makeup. Claudia Christian is a great actor. Now, she's never been in Star Trek, but she did audition for the role of Seven of Nine.
How's my favorite Borg today?
Annoyed.
This is hardly a role to really sink your teeth into, but again she stands out, and her role doesn't descend into the usual shallows females often had to contend with in straight-to-video 80s movies. The weakest link in the chain is probably the headline act. You can't help but look at Paul Satterfield and think, ooh, doesn't he look like Michael Bolton or Christopher Reeve? In fact, the Christopher Reeve lookalike thing stuck around and became something of his defining feature. Apparently the two did eventually meet, and joked about how similar they look. Satterfield's character is just a bit wet. Armstrong doesn't seem to have much charisma or personality. We understand his motives, but we don't necessarily care much about them. I'd have been quite happy for him to have been knocked out early on in the tournament and see him get his old job back. And when he does fight, it doesn't look convincing. It looks improvised rather than choreographed. He has the physique, but not the technique. Arena starts off well, but the pacing really drops. It's the fantastic creature creations which keep you engaged with what's happening, because the story isn't original at all, and it's a fairly by-the-numbers underdog story. I've heard this film referred to as Rocky in space quite a bit, and there are parallels. An underdog fighter representing the working class masses who often blends into the background, but this lacks the heart of Rocky. It isn't built around a solid romance, and it certainly doesn't benefit from a banging soundtrack. This film genuinely feels like it could exist within the Star Wars universe. The bars and the arena itself have an aesthetic which feels in keeping with the Star Wars cantina. There's a wide range of aliens and some puppetry going on here. And let's not forget that Star Wars does, dare I say, look a bit hokey every so often. And that's not a criticism. It was an ambitious film with lots of different alien species, but you can tell it's handcrafted, and that's part of its charm. Before all those digital replacements, I mean. With a bigger budget, I feel this could have looked like the Martian world in Total Recall, which was probably being made at the same time as this, and had a budget 8 times larger. Oh, and Marc Alaimo was in that film as well. This is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. I believe MGM ended up with the licensing rights to the film along with several other Empire titles, and Amazon bought MGM a couple of years ago, so they own it now. Presently, Amazon Prime streams this in a 4:3 aspect ratio, but the Blu-ray is in 1.85:1 widescreen. However, the Blu-ray does state that the scan of the restored version was from a flawed 35mm theatrical print, which was slightly off-center, and that's why the opening titles look a little wonky. I don't think it's just the opening titles impacted though. Some scenes which look as though they should be centrally framed do look fine, but others do look like they may have the misalignment issue. Either way, it's only the titles which are noticeably odd. This is part of a great bundle called Enter the Video Store with other Empire films, including Robot Jocks. I don't have that box set, but if I ever see it at a bargain price, I may well pick it up. The picture on the Blu-ray does look quite punchy. I like it. It's much better than the washed out version you can stream, which looks like a VHS scan, and it's full of compression artifacts, as though you're streaming it on a shit internet connection. But if you originally watched this on VHS, then it might actually add a bit of authenticity to your viewing experience, if you're aiming for pure nostalgia. The Blu-ray also offers a 4:3 presentation, which I don't really understand. Why would you opt to cut a significant chunk of the picture out to make it roughly square? Maybe people really do want to recreate the 4:3 VHS experience. It's easy to pull Arena apart, but I think it uses its small budget well. I mentioned the cardboard cutout crowd earlier, but do you know what? It works. It makes the arena feel full. It gives a grand sense of scale. The miniature sets aren't bad, and when I look at the streaming version on Prime Video, they're less obvious because the lower picture quality masks it somewhat. And to be honest, those miniatures only feature in the film for a few seconds anyway, so it's hardly something you're going to be staring at for ages. Now, those cheapo costumes might look a bit naff, but there's enough good stuff, and I mean really good stuff, to catch your eye. Although this film was made at the very end of the 80s, it looks more early to mid-80s, and I do love the very 80s vision of the future. Shoulder pads, glitter, big hair, smoke machines, and filthy, filthy capitalism.
No point in giving away what the public will pay for.
The in-movie universe feels fleshed out enough. The music sometimes sounds like a SNES RPG, the story is average at best, but not rubbish. Other than reasons of nostalgia, this isn't likely to be in anyone's must-watch list. It's not a bad watch at all, it just doesn't make much of an impact apart from some of the amazing creature creations. You just hope that the visual effects team went on to bigger and better things. This might not be a classic film, but it's a great addition to a prop maker's CV. Goodbye.